Made it.
You got time? 4 or 5 minutes. You got 4 minutes. You are ready to go.
There's one type. I'm pretty sure that's Caleb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we can certainly put that as an option. Right, yeah, okay. Are you gonna do it? Do you just want to say something about it? Or? Right. Call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody to the Newport School Board meeting. It is December 8th, 2022. Call the meeting to order. Tim. Bill. Bert.
Bert Spalding Sr. here.
Steve.
Steve Morris here.
And Jenna Darling here. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it says on our agenda that we are to go into non-public under 91A3 2 lowercase a, but I would like to make an adjustment to move that to the end of the meeting. That was put at the beginning of the meeting due to a potential time conflict with a board member that is no longer in place. So in order to allow everybody here to leave a little earlier, I'd like to make that adjustment. The other adjustments that I have would be to table item C, the upcoming meeting, Zoom and number of meetings. We took action on it. I don't think we need to take action on it again. Those are my two. Do you have any? Oh, and I need to table the minutes of November 20th, 2022, because you all don't have them. Is there a motion to, well, I'll make that motion. Is there a second for those adjustments?
I'll second it.
Okay, I need a roll call vote. Tim? Bill?
Bill Wilkinson, aye.
Bert?
Brett Spalding Senior, yes.
Steve?
Steve Morrison, aye.
And Jenna Darling, aye. Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, that will bring us to public comment. Before I open public comment, I just want to apologize. When the board last met at our budget workshop, which was on November 20th, I didn't know, but there was a sign-up sheet on the podium, and I believe at least one person, maybe two people had signed up to comment. And usually at our board workshops, we do not have public comment, so I didn't even think to look. So I just want to apologize. One individual, Mr. Oberhofer, has emailed me his comments, so I was glad to receive those. But when the board meets again on Sunday, the 11th, we will not be taking comments then, so I just wanted to be clear about that now. I have two people signed up. I know the board received an email asking that other comments be read during public comment. I would make that motion that be read. That's practice that I've done previously. Would there be a second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay, I will read those comments in at the end. All right, and I will start with Austin Davis.
Good evening. I'm Austin Davis. I'm a member of the community. I'm a taxpayer. I have 3 children in the middle school and high school. So with that being said, I hereby request the following documents under New Hampshire RSA 91-A, the contract for the virtual health teacher at the middle school, high school, and copies of all related correspondence in connection with this contract.
Lisa Frigno, taxpayer, first grade teacher. I want to thank the board for taking the time to look carefully at the budget and for considering those positions which most impact our students. Adding 2 additional reading teachers to Richards and 2 additional teachers at the high school is an important step towards giving our students the support they need. Now that the budget process is underway and we are beginning to look at where to make cuts and what is essential, I am here to plead, yet again, for the addition of another school counselor at Richards. With 364 students, Richards is the biggest school in the district. We are grateful that Amanda wanted to join our staff while she works towards her certification as school counselor. She's been a terrific addition to Richards. But we need more. The American School Counselor Association, the ASCA, recommends a ratio of 250 to 1. If school counselors are also teaching, which is the system we have at Richards, that ratio should be lower. We've all read the papers and seen the news. Our students are dealing with horrific trauma. Research has shown that the brains of students who have experienced hunger, poverty, trauma show similar lesions and lack of development as soldiers who have experienced war. How can they learn when their brains are not developing properly? We need the tools and resources to help these children overcome this trauma. Yes, we are talking about adding behavioral programs at Richards and training the staff, but we also have had our behavioral staff cut by 2/3. And I can tell you The teachers at Richards are already stretched to our limits. We are all working hard to help our students get caught up after the disruption of a global pandemic. This is not just a Newport problem. Educators across the country are saying the same thing. The students need more help academically and socially. We simply cannot squeeze one more thing into our schedule. Students need time and support in small groups to help process what they have experienced. Some of our students need time in small groups like Lunch Bunch to learn how to socialize appropriately. Students need someone with whom to process what just happened at recess, and they cannot move past it to get back to learning. One person for 364 students cannot do all that. Historically, we had 2 school counselors for our elementary students. Toll used to have 1, and Richards had 1, which was lost when they consolidated. A second school counselor was added to the budget, but was cut last year. We will not see growth in our scores, and more importantly, our students will not benefit from the education we are trying to provide if they do not also have the necessary mental health supports.
All right. I'm going to read the email that was sent today. No, I'm sorry, yesterday to all of the board members. It's from parents of Newport. Dear Newport School Board, you're writing this letter as concerned parents with children in the middle high school about the incident that happened on Friday, December 2nd, 2022. We received an email stating that there was an incident at the middle high school and that students and staff were not in any danger. However, our high school students came home on Friday and told us about what they had seen and heard about the incident that occurred. I don't know how much further this I could keep, actually. Because I only hesitate, not because I don't want to share it, but because we are talking about a student and the incident. So the students came home and told their parents what they observed and saw relating to the incident. And I don't want to jeopardize any student involved right now. But the question is, could you please explain to us as parents, guardians, and as a community, why the school did not go into a lockdown or shelter in place if there was a potential threat? How can you say that students and staff were not in any danger when they were? How is the school board, school district going to handle this going forward? Also, how can an email go out to everyone from the principal when she wasn't present that day in the building? The email was misleading, and how do you expect us as a community to trust the communication from the school going forward? Students are concerned for their safety. Some are now under the assumption that anyone can bring any sort of weapon into school, and the school won't catch them unless it's brought to their attention. As parents, we are outraged at how this was handled and want to know what is going to be done to make sure this doesn't happen again. As a matter of fact, the week prior, there was SWAT and other officials within the vicinity and the schools, and not a single building went into shelter in place. So again, how can we trust in the systems that are in place? We are asking you to read this during public comment at the school board meeting and explain how you're going to communicate and keep our children safe in the future and be truthful. So I'm sorry that I had to not read that verbatim, but again, I want to protect all students involved. And Donna, I'll turn that over to you.
So at no time, there was no weapon at the school. There was not a gun at the school. There was no other weapon at the school. What's really hard is to have a conversation about a situation that involves a minor and what could potentially be, if it leads to a case, that if we have an open discussion about this, we could be hindering the case that is currently pending. And so what I can assure you was that at no time were any students in danger. The building principal was correct, was not in the building that day. However, there is constant conversation between myself, the building principal, the SRO, the chief of police, and at no time did we, with the police, in conjunction with the police department, feel that there was a need to shelter in place because there wasn't a threat that we felt there was a weapon or anything in the building.
All right, that will bring public comment to a close. All right. That brings us to approval of minutes from October 13th. We had tabled these at our last meeting. Is there a motion for those minutes? I will make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Jenna, would you repeat, please?
I just motioned to accept and ask for a second for discussion purposes.
Okay.
And Bill, you seconded, so any discussion?
The one thing that jumped out at me, on page 3, under new hires, Caleb Godwin is listed as Kayla Godwin.
That works.
Yeah, that was on page 3, under the heading of new hires. 4th line down at the very beginning. Caleb Godwin is listed as Kayla. C-A-L-E-B.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none,
Is there a chance we could ask him to change his name to fit our minutes?
no, sorry, I'm not gonna do that for you. All right. All those in favor of accepting the minutes with the change to Caleb?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, thank you very much. Right. That brings us to Stephen, our student representative. Oh, nope, sorry, Stephen. I went
Psych.
too fast. I saw November and I was thinking the 20th.
I was caught off guard
apologize.
myself.
We have the minutes from November 10th. Is there a motion on those?
For discussion?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
I guess that's taken care of. There's no need to make a change. It was in relationship to a request for an agenda item,
Okay,
and that has been met now.
all right. All those in favor of accepting the minutes of November 10th? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Abstained.
Those abstaining, thank you very much. All right, that will bring minutes to a close. So now we are at, Stephen, you're up. I apologize.
So I've got, yet again, 3 things to share with all of you today. The first thing is a neat little fundraiser that's held annually. FFA, HOSA, and National Technical Honor Society are cooperating to do the Blanket Buddies fundraiser. This is a fundraiser where students hand make fleece blankets to give to local care facilities around Newport and the surrounding areas. A very nice fundraiser from those 3 groups. Secondly, it's the winter season, and with that, we all love Christmas music. We've got our winter concerts in the music program. Last night was the middle and high school chorus concert, which was welcomed with an abundance of applause. We filled almost every seat in the Opera House, and I'm sure the rest of the shows will. Tomorrow at Richards is the kindergarten through 2nd grade show at 1:30. Next Wednesday, the 14th, is the band concert for the middle and high school at 6 at the Opera House. And also at the Opera House, next Thursday, the 15th, is the 3rd grade through 5th grade concert, also at 6 o'clock. And lastly, this Saturday, this isn't just a school thing, but in the community, we've got 'Twas Just Before Christmas. Some things that some of the groups at the school here are doing. There's the junior basket raffle is going on there. We've got a couple other groups doing a few raffles, I believe. We've got a few chorus students that are going to be going around door to door singing some Christmas carols. So maybe they'll stop by wherever you are, share some joy there. And of course, Santa Claus himself will be there. So he'll be able to welcome all the lovely children around town. That's all I have today.
Thank you so much, Stephen, I appreciate it. Yeah,
We will also, the school district will also be represented there as well. So we're pretty excited about. Yeah. We actually have someone dressing up as our mascot. So our mascot will be there. So we're pretty excited about that.
all right. Thank you, Stephen. That will bring us to our information and actions. Before we start, Tim had requested at the last board meeting to have bullying on the agenda, and it's not on there. When we met for a board chair meeting, I certainly want it on the agenda, and I also want to make sure it has the time that it deserves. And so the discussion is to have it after we get through this part of the budget, and then also to send out surveys. And Donna even talked about having a roundtable discussion for people who didn't want to fill out a survey, and then to bring it forward in January, we can give it that amount of time. So I wanted to let you know that and let the public know that that's why it was not on the agenda for this evening. So with that brings us to the support staff contract.
So I'd like to talk about the amount of dedication that we're seeing from our support staff. Our support staff is currently one of the lowest paying in the districts around, as well as other areas. Our support staff are working with the most dedicated and delicate and demanding students, and we feel that they should receive a better and more competitive compensation. Currently, we have 17 openings in the area of support staff. We hope by offering a more competitive compensation, we will be able to hire the support staff needed to assist our students, our teachers, moving forward. We really feel that it will also help us move forward with the supports for the educational components that our students need. Okay.
All right. Are there any questions from the board? Bert?
Is there a chance that this could be done at the next board meeting? The timeline for approval, I believe, gives us enough room.
Do you want to do it at Sunday's meeting? I mean, because that would be part of our budget.
No, our next regular meeting.
I don't know the answer to that.
I know that they ratified it already, but I'm not sure. Because if we're going to be talking about our budget, that's a big part of our budget as well. So, that's up to you guys. If you would rather wait and have a discussion at a later time, then we can do that.
What's the purpose of trying to hold off on that, if I can ask?
Okay, well, I don't want to derail the train, but I do want to see a change, and so without disparaging anybody, when it was delivered to us, it was insufficient time to read and digest, and the total amount was not correct. And there are some editorial changes that should be made. So if we were to continue it, we could do those. But there is no intent to not do this. So I say, with the chair's permission, that we do the editorial changes at another date, and I guess go forward with this tonight. And I'm going to reiterate, as a board member, to have something handed to me at any time that I cannot have time to read, think about, and research, I'm going to object. So what I'm asking is for the editorial changes which are not significant, and they do not affect the dollar amounts, but for another day.
Okay. All right. So we'll do that. We'll add those editorial changes on. We'll take the vote pending those editorial changes, I guess. I think that's what we'll do. Okay. So I will move that we accept the support staff contract pending seeing those editorial changes at our next meeting date, which will be this month. So, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Thank you. All right. Budget adjustments. You're up.
Speak to you on that.
So, basically, we have a lot of negative lines in the budget, so I made corrections, and during my COVID fog, I did it to the penny, which I shouldn't have. I have since corrected that, so. But basically, these changes are to make the lines positive in different areas.
Are there any questions from the board? Okay. Is there a motion to accept the budget adjustments? Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? There you go. Okay. Budget review, informational. Back to you.
Yeah, so we just wanted to talk a little bit about what has occurred so far. So on a few Sunday, I don't remember what date it was, the 20th?
20th.
Yeah, the 20th, we met with, as a board and an SAU, we all met and kind of talked about where we stood with the budget, and we were given an idea of where the board would like us to be. So we went back and we did some more work, and tonight, what we're going to give you is actually for Sunday. And we wanted to hand them to you versus sending to you via email, so that way if you wanted to write all over them, you could. But it's actually going to be 3 different budgets that we're going to give you, and because it all depends upon how it's best for you to look at them, and I'll let Diane explain those ways in 1 second. But along with that, we'd like to know one way the board would like to tackle it, right? Because you'll have 3 different ways to be looking at it. But we'd like to have one way that we can look at it. So it's either, by code or by school or building, so we'd like to talk a little bit about that. So that way we have a clear direction on Sunday with how you want to discuss it. As well as along with that, you will have documents that go along with each area. So it'll show what the line item, and it'll show the adjustment in the budget and the reasoning for it. So you're going to have that as well today when you leave. So that way, if you have any questions on why line items are a certain amount of money, you can refer back to these documents to help you. And then on Sunday, we can have more discussion on how that works.
Can we talk a little bit about, it's not 3 budgets, it's one budget
Yes.
presented 3 ways,
It's
right?
sorted 3 different ways.
Depends on how you want to read
It's
it.
sorted by building. It's sorted by function, so if you want to see all the 1100s together, you can see how much regular education costs. I also sorted it by object code, so if you wanted to see how much electricity costs for the whole district, you could just go to those lines and see it together. So you have, it's the same information, it's just presented 3 different ways. And basically, it's just so that you have tools to figure out certain things. I suggest we do the budget by building, but you have the other 2 sorts to figure out different ways of looking at the information.
We've been asked different ways from different board members on ways to give this, and it's been different. And so we want to make sure that we're presenting the information to you, but then when we come together as a group, we can all do it one way, because it'll be much easier if someone says page 4, then we all have the same stuff on page 4. I also want to say that we were given a goal to between $2 and $2.50. We actually beat that goal, and we're down to $1.87. And there was no cut to staff.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, and we did not cut any staff, so.
And I'd like to say, I know it says on our agenda that tonight is public input for the budget, but I think without having the board voting and finalizing on a budget from the SAU, it's very important to me that people in the community have that number to digest and then come back to us, which is why I think it will be important to have another meeting this month so that we can hear public comment. So I don't know if you're going to get an answer tonight about how we're going to look at it on Sunday, because I would imagine we want to look at all three ways.
Yeah, I think on
First?
Sunday would be fine.
Yeah, okay, all right. Are there any other questions regarding the budget right now? No? Okay, very good. SAFE grant.
So I am happy to report that we have been approved for the second round of what's called the Security Action for Education, which is referred to as the SAFE grant. We should have access to this money mid-December. And how it will work is Richard will be receiving $92,257. The middle school will be receiving $88,145. And the high school will be receiving $100,000. And this grant is to add more safety and security to our buildings. I'm asking the board tonight if they can approve us accepting this money, this grant.
I would make a motion to approve the funds from the SAFE grant. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right. Wonderful, that's great news, thank you.
Thank you.
I am curious, do we have plans in place? So now that we have funding, do we have?
So absolutely. So when we filled out the paperwork for the grant, we had to put specific things that we would do with the money.
Okay.
And so with that, we'll do those specific things. And obviously for safety reasons, we can't say, oh, this is what we're going to be doing.
Yep.
But people will notice some things being done
Okay.
to our buildings. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And that kind of goes in line with the letter that we got, that we, not only are we doing things and working in conjunction with the local police department, but we've also secured these 3 grants that will help improve the safety and security of all of our buildings in the district. And I think that's important to note, that although this is separate, I just want to make sure that it ties back into that to continue to build, because you always, excuse me, because you always got to keep improving your position, if you will.
Right, absolutely. And as you know, like today, right, there's someone, and they're not sure who it is, that's making false threats at schools. And so we did send something out to our families, and we did not receive anything. We did not receive a threat. I know that Stevens had to go into lockdown, and other schools in Concord had to go into lockdown because they may have received something. But we're very lucky that our local PD is always on standby, and we have our SRO available at all times, as well as any type of thing that happens such as that. The state police will come in and monitor our building as well, so. And it was a hoax. This happened in Maine a few weeks ago, and now it's coming to New Hampshire, so.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, with that, let's move on to new hires. All right. I think so. Let's see if I can get the last name right. All right, I will move Mr. Travis Matuzzi forward as program coordinator with a salary of $69,000. This is for special education program coordinator. Is there anything you wanted to say?
We're very excited to have Travis joining our team. He comes from Quatchit Mountain, and so we're looking at putting a program in to help us secure some of our students that would be out of district place. And so we feel that with Travis, and we're also looking to hire someone else for that will work with him, that will be able to bring back students as well as keep students in our district. So that way they can become part of the community and work in the community and do things in our community versus being outside of our community, as well as the long transportation ride there and back. And
Okay. Is there a second? Okay, is there discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
I'm a,
I'm sorry?
I'm aye.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, and welcome, Travis. We're excited to have you. I know that didn't sound very excited, but really we are, sorry. Really we are.
Your excitement is bubbling over. Today.
Yes. It's time for more cold medicine. Okay, we have a resignation.
We actually have two.
Two, I'm
You
sorry.
have a new one that's added to your packet.
Okay,
A middle school math teacher and a special ed teacher from the elementary school. And I would say that we accept their resignations pending their end dates, as well as any fees that they owe the district. As you know, there is a 1%, I think it's 1%. You have 1% in their contract that staff members pay us for breaking their contracts.
okay. All right, I will move that we accept the resignations.
So moved. Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. There are two, I'm sorry.
I can give them to you after if you want. I can spell them out for you if you want. Would that be easier? All right.
Okay, all right. So yes, the motion is to accept the two resignations. There was a second. Any discussion? Tim,
Do we do exit interviews?
do we do exit interviews?
Exit interviews, that would be Sally's question, and she's on vacation this week. But we usually do, but one of the things is you can't make someone, right? So you can say, would you like to come in for an exit interview, or would you like to take part in an exit interview? And it's up to them whether or not they would like to take part in that.
Right, I'm more than
Yeah.
All right,
I can find out more information when Sally returns, so.
okay.
I think there should be an exit interview, and there should be a part that goes to the school board so they can actually see why staff members are leaving.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? I want to wish both of those individuals well and thank them for their service to our district. So thank you. Okay, do we have any committee report outs this evening? Do you have any?
I was a bad committee member on Friday.
No, it's okay.
It's more-
Generally,
I have
that's not what you want to report out.
I'm a horrible person, but with it being the beginning of the month and the Friday, that always throws me off with the.
No worries, no worries. Okay. That will bring us to policies. We have no first reads. Second reads.
So we have a second read, which is the new policy, which was the early entrance to kindergarten. And so if you remember, we had one that already in place that had to do with first grade, but nothing that has to do with kindergarten and what age we could be accepting students into kindergarten. And so this was an entirely brand-new policy.
Okay. All right, and this is the second read. So I will move the second read of JEBA, early entrance into kindergarten. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any
And,
discussion?
Before we vote, I'd like to comment
Sure. Go ahead.
that it is nice that we recognize this possibility. Age isn't always a good determination of someone's position in anything.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you very much. We have some second reads that are revisions.
Yeah, so you have JLDBB, the suicide prevention and response. This is a revised, which means we had this one already. The highlighted areas are the ones, the ones in yellow, highlighted in yellow, are the ones that we added to this policy.
Okay. All right, so this is JLDBB, the suicide prevention and response, the JEB, age of entrance, JLCF wellness, and BCB board member conflict.
We going to vote on it individually or all?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm used to doing them in bulk.
Do you want me
Would
to
you
talk
like to
about
do
the
them
other ones as
individually?
well?
Yes, I
Yes.
would like to do them individually.
Okay, that's fine. Then I will make the motion for JLDBB, suicide prevention and response.
Second.
Okay? Any discussion?
Under A, the word district is left in, right there under item A. My feeling is it doesn't read correctly without the word "the" left in. "The" is shown being removed.
After A, it says the district suicide prevention plan?
Okay. No later than May 31 is being taken out, all the way to coordinated written, and the word "the." Then comes district freestanding. Okay, so where did you get that one different than the one I got?
It's in the packet.
Okay. All right.
Do you want to look through the rest of the changes to make sure they match?
Well, that's what I'm going to look
That's
at.
the one you had me make changes already.
Excuse me?
You gave me one before to make the changes in the past, so I made those changes.
Okay.
And you should have received a new one on Thursday?
Yeah, but it's in the packet that came tonight.
I think you should have already received them. You should have received it when you picked up your packet. You did not?
No,
Okay.
I don't know that. I won't say,
You don't want to throw Melissa under the bus?
I'd hate to see somebody get fired over that. Go to your next page, Bill, item B, the same thing, adding the district. Okay. All right, so that's a two ahead. Okay, let's go.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
I didn't say anything, but I'm on.
Okay. Is this going to be accepted? Yes, it is. Okay. JEB, age of entrance.
So with that one was just because we're looking at having the policy that has to do with the kindergarten. That was just adding those numbers on the top. So it was just to see also added those. That was it. So there was no change to the inner piece of it.
Okay. I will move JEB, age of entrance.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. JLCF wellness.
This again, the changes would be in yellow. It was just that one piece.
Ms. Frigno, is this the one you wanted to comment on? Okay, whenever you're ready, if you could just come to the podium.
I'm not sure, it might fit under state, but currently we have elementary students, as young as kindergarten, first grade, bringing sugared, caffeinated beverages from local businesses as they arrive in the morning. I have morning duty and watching the students, and just, I don't know, as an educator, watching children like that's what they're having to start their day really makes me nervous. And we used to have a policy, no sugary drinks, certainly no coffee, which I'm seeing coming to school, and candy unless it's a special occasion. It's not in the policy anymore, but, I don't want to disrupt what you're doing tonight, but I think that it's something that we might need to add to our wellness committee to look at. Thank you.
This policy was not changed, just so you know. This policy was in place. The only change to this policy was it was highlighted in yellow. So I didn't take anything out or make any changes other than that yellow. But it should be in there, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you, I know it does talk about, you can only have so many parties with.
That would be covered under C3, bring water bottles to school that are exclusively filled with water.
Part of it, but you can hide it.
You can elaborate more,
Come in with
but
Yeah.
it is covered in there.
certain pink. Maybe not. So I completely agree with Ms. Brigno, and I think when the Wellness Committee meets, this would be something to bring up because, I
And that could
don't
be a
know if
procedure.
that's, it could be a procedure, I just don't think.
We have a policy that says that, and we could say, here's the procedures, you can't
Right.
have, because it does say, you're not supposed to serve these things in school, and they shouldn't be bringing them. I agree with Lisa as well, because it's really not a great way to start a student's day, is
Right, okay.
hyped up on caffeine.
So we'll add that to the wellness committee.
Yeah.
I will still make the motion that we accept the changes that are there. And then when the wellness committee meets, if we need to bring it back, we can. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. And then BCB, board member conflict.
So when we looked at this one here, the board had moved it on, but wanted the line that is red and crossed out removed. And so that has been crossed out.
Okay. I will move that we accept BCB board member conflict.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to communication. Look at us go, we're only less than 45 minutes in.
What's going on? I'm like confused right now. I just wanted to let everybody know how appreciative I am of all of our staff. It's been a pretty rough road as we, all start to move forward, but we are starting to see gains already. We are starting to see teams really forming together, and so that's been really great to see. Our middle school finally had their full team, and then we had one person resign, and so we're hoping to be able to do that. We do still need a health person in the middle school level. The high school may have one, but I'm just waiting till I get the verification of yes, the person is going to be taking that role, so we're very thankful for that. As I stated earlier, we will be taking part on Saturday at the event that will be taking place. I believe we're going to be located in the Opera House. That's what I was told, but things change. And we do have a few things to give away to students and children that stop by to see us and say hi, as well as if they want to take pictures with our mascot. Our mascot will be there, so we're really excited about taking part in the community and working with the community. And I also want to thank the families. I've had families reaching out to me, and I'm very grateful for that, for whether it's they're reaching out to say, hey, did you know about this? Or what do you think about this? Or wow, we're seeing great things happening. And so I'm really thankful for that. But I just want to make sure that everybody knows that my door is always open, and whether it's something positive or something negative, I can't do anything about it unless I'm aware of it. And so please, anybody that wants to come in and have a conversation with me, I will love to sit down and have a conversation.
Anything from anybody else? Okay. Board members down the row. Tim?
Yeah, I guess just want to acknowledge that we've gotten a bunch of emails lately from a bunch of different people that we get them or read them. We don't always necessarily respond, but we do acknowledge them. And I think some of what we do as a board, we need to step up and do a better job addressing some of the things that are brought to our attention. We're elected officials, we're the voice of the community, and at times I just feel like we hear things, but we don't take any action on them whatsoever, and it just goes on. And I know, being on that side of things, when you have a concern and you bring them up and then you don't see anything happen, it's frustrating. And there's a lot of different things we're dealing with, and it's quite enlightening on this side of the table, because there's so much we know and find out and hear about that we can't share with the community for different things. So it's interesting, but I feel like we need to do a lot better job addressing some of the concerns of our citizens and our students. And I would recommend anyone out there that has an issue with a day-to-day thing with a teacher, with a student, with an incident, reach out to the principal, and if not, reach out to Donna. Donna's great at getting information, getting back to you. I think that's where I'm at with this, but.
Bert? Steve?
Just a couple of quick thoughts. When I was walking in, I noticed that there was an advertisement for something for the CTE, but it was like, join us on TikTok. And TikTok's not a good program. When I moved here, my daughter plays, this was 4 years ago, she had to sign up for Facebook, which I didn't allow her to have social media because, I mean, we're in an education environment. Social media is not good for mental health from youngest to oldest, right? But allegedly, according to studies. So anyway, I would just take a look. I would ask that we look at that and see if that's really a good thing based on what we know about TikTok. Do what?
May I comment on that? That TikTok account in the business program I was part of, getting that up and running, we went through a process. We figured ways that we're going to use it effectively. We're going to keep students safe, keep a healthy environment with it. At any point that we see anything come up that would conflict with that, we are immediately going to address it. We're doing everything we can to make sure that these things are able to be used and be able to reach out to our community and our students, but also to be able to keep it, you know, a safe environment where we're not having any issues that could come up that would make it where we can't have these things that we may want to have.
I understand that, and I appreciate that. I'm talking about the general use of TikTok in general. It's a bad app.
I get the concern.
I've known for years it's a bad app. It's just a bad app. So I would just ask that we look not only at that, but in the use of social media to communicate with the students. From my own personal point of view, I would just throw that out there that I don't necessarily think it's a good thing from a social, emotional standpoint. So I'm just putting my 2 cents out there on that. And then with the food and beverage, I gotta say something again, because in Texas, the teacher took my daughter's breakfast away from her and threw it in the garbage in front of her, and it was a totally healthy breakfast as far as I'm concerned, and I'm her parent. So I just caution you on the reaction you're gonna get when someone takes someone's food away from them that they paid money for. Because I can tell you from personal experience, it's not gonna be a nice phone call and a visit from most parents probably. So I just say that we keep it out. I don't believe that young kids should be drinking coffee, but no one's gonna throw away my kid's food that I paid for. Does that make sense? So it's one of those things where it's a touchy subject, and I think the onus, because anytime I talk, if y'all ever pay attention to me when I'm droning out here, is the onus is not only on us as the education providers here in Newport, but the parents have a large role, and it doesn't make sense if you're sending your children who are, you know, I don't know, whatever age you think, but I wouldn't suggest a, you know, second grader come to school with a latte, a grande latte.
Not my
from-
second grader.
But you know what I'm saying, so I understand it, but also it's a kind of a delicate thing. So I want to make sure that if any of the parents that are watching out there, if you're disagreeing with it and you can feed your kids whatever, I agree with you. However, let's also remind ourselves of health class and what bad things can come from caffeine and sugar at a young age and early and all that good stuff. That's all I have, thank you.
Okay. Bert?
I'd like to go back to TikTok. I am not one of those guys. I don't Facebook or any of that stuff. Really? And I'll make a very clear statement. As far as I'm concerned, Facebook and TikTok are like working at the wrong end of a sewer pipe. So if in fact you restrict what's done and someone can work his way around it and get into it, I just treat it like an absolute no. Unless someone can really come out and say, it's the only place in this world you can get it. Because when you patronize a business that is bad, you continue its existence. When you finally make a statement that no, and if everybody made a statement no, TikTok would be gone.
I'll talk about TikTok too. So, the head of the FCC has warned about TikTok, and the FBI, I believe, has also warned about TikTok. I just don't feel like it's something that the school should be using. I don't care if you use Facebook or whatever, but I have a huge issue with TikTok. It's a security risk. It's a lot of different things. And obviously, no offense to Steven or any of their hard work, but I feel like there's a different app. I mean, we had our brand-new bathrooms wrecked or damaged because of TikTok, so what are we doing? What are we pushing here? Like, oh, it's okay to use TikTok if you're gonna do this, or we're advertising for this, but at the same time, you have kids eating Tide Pods because of TikTok. You have all these,
You have all your data
Idiotic
stolen
things.
allegedly from another country.
Right.
It's out there. It's not a conspiracy, like the FCC. Well, it's just one of those things that's dangerous.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm just going to weigh in. I don't use TikTok either, but I know my grandfather, who just recently passed away, had a TikTok page for his 80-year-old jokes. So, I can say with absolute certainty that, not everything that's found on TikTok is evil and bad. Though I do agree, and I agree with the research, social media in general, I think has been just massively damaging to the psychological well-being of kids of all ages. Really, even adults. Adults, I mean, I do agree with those statements, I do agree with that research, 100%. However, I also know it exists, and our kids are there, whether we want them to be or not. For me as a parent, it's been more a matter of monitoring, my kids' social media usage. Because as we know, even when we were kids, can't stop the kid from doing everything. They'll find a way around. So I think it's important that, we can, we could dislike it all we like, but we also need to be aware of what our kids are doing. And, we might not love it, but it's going to happen. And so, I think if you can bring something positive to TikTok, I think it's a good thing. Do I think we should be encouraging kids to join TikTok? No, and that's where I might agree with not, promoting it in the school. But I also think if you could bring something positive to TikTok, like my grandfather's jokes, especially now. My grandfather passed away back in March. So whenever we want to hear one of Grandpa's incredibly inappropriate, slightly corny jokes,
Wait a second, are we getting funds for this?
no, I think it's at Old Man F.J. Dow or something like that.
We can set that up.
Honestly, yeah. His
So
it's funny. His very first post got him kicked off TikTok for like a month.
does this mean that 80 is, after 80, it's, there's a prohibition to jokes that you got in 70 years earlier?
Well, let's face it. Times have changed a little bit over the past 70, 80 years.
Right.
What is considered offensive now was not considered offensive when my grandfather was young. Yeah.
Well, at the risk of stepping into that conversation, I'm going to move on with communications, and I'm not going to talk about TikTok. I'm looking forward to Sunday, to looking through the budget. Thank you, Diane, and everyone at the SAU for pulling all of that, all of the administration for pulling all of that together. And I'll also look forward to more public input from that as well. Thank you, Stephen, for all the concert information. I'm looking forward to attending some of those next week. And with that, I think we can move into non-public session. I don't believe we're taking any action in non-public session. It will be board only. So I will move that we enter into non-public under 91-A:3, Roman number 2A. The dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee or the investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected, 1, has the right to a meeting, and 2, requests the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. So is there a second to move into non-public?
Second.
Okay.
Discussion
Discussion?
on is the person that is there alerted to the possibility of being discussed? The last part of the sentence that you read on, if the person is entitled to.
Okay. I will make sure that that person knows. Okay. All right, we need a roll call vote to enter into non-public. So Tim?
Tim Beard, aye.
Bill?
Bill Wilkinson, aye.
Bert?
Art Spalding Senior, aye.
Steve?
Steve Morris, aye.
And Jenna Darling, aye. Thank you very much. Everybody may go home.